The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some independent Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to healthy living and weight loss will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. In addition, this audio may contain income or earnings representations of some independent Optavia coaches. Optavia makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with Optavia results from successful sales efforts, which requires hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the Optavia income disclosure statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches under the U.S. compensation plan, which differs from the international compensation plan. Yours in health, the Optavia team.
Hey, welcome everybody to the habits of health. We are talking about element 12 tonight, this call is for clients, coaches, health professionals, fitness professionals, personal trainers, anybody who is seeking to improve their physical health, their mental health, and we're all just trying to get better together. So. In the chat thread tonight, why don't you just let us know where you're coming from, and maybe if you're what you're going to be for Halloween this year, right? No, if that's of interest to you, we're interested in it. But we're gonna kick this off, and I'm gonna share my screen for you guys. And I've got on the call with me tonight certified Optavia coaches Dave Frampton and John Fuller, who are going to be helping me out a little bit, just kind of telling our experience. And with element 12, I would also encourage you guys to check out in the habits of health sections 2.2 and 2.3 that are incredible information that go along with what we're going to be talking tonight about, and that is optimizing our success in reaching a healthy weight. So with optimizing our weight, we're really focused on your nutritional plan and the kinds of things, some of the kind of caveats that people will find themselves in. And they're like, hey, I want to get there as quickly as possible. Everybody has one of these, right? And just about a half an hour ago, I had my Google Maps pulled up, and I was looking for a location that my son has a volleyball tournament at coming up this weekend. And so I punch it in there, and it's about an hour and 17 minutes away. But if I choose to go different routes, and I just put in, hey, let's take the frontage road. Let's take Salt Lake State Street through Salt Lake rather than taking I-15. It took me anywhere from about an hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes, all the way up to 2 hours and 15 minutes. Okay, so some of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight are just those things that we need to know. If time is of essence for you and you actually want to go as quickly as you can to your destination, and we're talking healthy weight right now, but really with anything that we're pursuing in life, if we follow the path of least resistance, the fastest path, we're going to get there in a certain amount of time. Now, we're not guaranteeing weight loss in a certain amount of time or anything like that. We don't make those kinds of guarantees. Every single person's body is a little bit different, but we can ensure the best consistency by following the plan. Okay, so we're going to get right into it, and these are going to be some of the things that we're going to be talking about here in the next little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about why timing is so important. We're going to talk about some clarifications to guidelines, and Well, we're going to talk mostly about the 5-in-1 plan, because that's where probably the majority of people start their journey with Optavia, but it also pertains to the other plans that we have. Really what it comes down to is know the plan that is that you and your health professional and your Optavia coach have determined is best for you, and know that plan so that you can stick to it and create that predictable transformation. We're going to describe why the program works the way it does, and we're going to start you with a little bit of a checklist to success, which is also found in element 12 in your LifeBook, and it's got some great tips there. So first of all, before we get into these 3 frequently asked questions, let's talk about timing a little bit. In section 2.2 in the Habits of Health, Dr. Anderson refers to a study that was done by Dr. David Jenkins at University of Toronto. He was really a pioneer in low glycemic eating. And the study that they did was the researchers split people into 2 different groups. Both groups ate exactly the same foods, exactly the same calories, but one group was split into 3, they ate 3 square meals, traditional meals. I actually don't think that, I haven't met too many people lately that still do 3 square meals. Most people, like me, when I started with Optavia 10.5 years ago, I actually didn't eat most of the day. I went huge, long periods of time without eating. But Dr. Jenkins, in this study at University of Toronto, they found that the people who ate several small meals, remember, same foods, same calories, but split up into smaller meals many times throughout the day, they reduced their insulin levels and their blood glucose levels. And they also let the researchers know that they were less hungry, and they also lost more weight than the group who was eating the 3 squares. So timing is really important. So these are some of the big questions that we get. Number 1, why can't I eat fruit? Fruit's healthy, right? Dave or John, did you guys have this question when you guys started? Let's, Dave, I'll unmute you. What was, when you started, you've always heard that fruit was healthy, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was all for fruit. So when my coach, who's my wife, told me that not yet on the fruit, I was like, but what do you mean? I was shocked. Well,
okay.
Right.
So we say no fruit. The reason for no fruit is that it's got a higher glycemic load. It's full of antioxidants and great healthy stuff, but it will elevate our insulin levels a little bit too high, and we're really trying to keep those blood sugars and those insulin levels at what we call baseline. So if you're eating fruits or even high glycemic vegetables, like some typical ones are potatoes, some peas, things like that. So your high glycemic vegetables, but also especially fruit, it's going to make your insulin go up a little bit too high, and then that insulin is going to cause a glucose or sugar crash later on. So essentially it's just shutting down your fat burning mechanism in your body. So, so cutting out the fruit, that's going to be one thing that you'll want to look for. And remember, when you're on any of our plans, you're getting nutrient-dense food. You're getting all of the nutrition that you need, just dropping down that glycemic index. And fruit's going to be one of those first things that we're going to add back in especially for those powerful antioxidants and other healthy carbohydrates once you reach your healthy weight. Why should I reduce or eliminate exercise in the first 3 weeks of the plan? So John, I'm going to kick this over to you. I know you were an exerciser before, because John's one of Amber and my personal clients. So John, how hard was this for you?
The interesting thing is, by the time we started the plan, I had gotten to a little bit of a point just before that where I was really frustrated in the gym. So I actually threw my hands up and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to the gym. I'm not eating healthy. I'm not doing anything. And then it was shortly after that my wife came home and said, hey, our friends are coaches and we're doing their program. The importance though of this is key. You want to give your body time to get into that fat burning state. And if you're trying to do so much all at once, it really stresses and taxes your body. And so just in the beginning, watch what you're doing. We often say, hey, cut the time and intensity of your workouts in half. Give your body some time to really adjust to this new style of eating and this new way, and allow it to feel better and get you to where you want to be. It's one of those things that's really interesting, right? Because people will be like, oh my gosh, I got to change 15 things all at once, right? No soda, no sugar, exercising 10 times a day, 7 days a week, and I'm going to change how I'm eating. And it's no wonder people burn out so quickly when they take that mindset of I've got to do it all at once. So we just want to get people into that rhythm, into that mode.
Perfect. Thank you, John. Yeah, this was a hard one for me. I actually didn't listen to my coach very well on this one, and I didn't feel very good at all in my first week and a half on the 5-in-1 plan. And my coach, who's my mother-in-law, we sat down and we just had a heart-to-heart. And she's like, well, Jared, what do you want to accomplish? And she kind of pulled out the old insanity thing. Like, you know what insanity is, right, Jared? It's doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And I said, okay, I throw in the towel. I'll do it the way of the plan. And so I cut my exercise way back, and within just a couple of days, I was feeling fantastic. And I was already an exerciser, so I just needed to cut it back to about half of what I was doing and just make sure that my body was adjusting to the new nutrition. Because regardless of whether you're going from a bad nutrition plan, bad diet, to a good diet, or a good diet to a bad diet, your body's going to play games on you and stuff. It's trying to figure out what you're doing to it. So just within that, if you're not currently exercising, we encourage you not to start anything for the first few weeks. If you are currently exercising, dial it back to about half and let the nutrition do its job. I always tell my clients that weight loss and weight management is really done in the kitchen. Fitness, obviously, our fitness levels, cardiovascular health, things like that are accomplished in the gym or out on the walking trail or whatever you like to do for activity. So really important that you just talk to your Optavia coach about what they would suggest for either maintaining a good activity level if you're already really active, or just kind of dialing that back until you're really in a good, solid fat burning state. The third question that we hear a lot is, isn't whole food better? Well, that depends, right? My problem was 10.5 years ago, I was eating the whole thing, right? So you can have whole foods, and whole foods are great. But if you're eating too much at the wrong times, in the wrong balances and stuff, it's not going to serve you in reaching the goals that you have. So we are huge proponents and fans of whole foods. And once again, we're going to introduce those whole foods back in. But as we're going through the 5-in-1 or the 4-in-2 plan, or some of our other plans that you may have experienced, we're going to develop those habits by making it really simple, making it convenient for you, having that nutritional and environmental control to help create those cues, the routines, and the habits that are going to help you long term. And then as you get to that healthy weight, we're going to help reincorporate those fruits, whole foods, more exercise, all those things to fit your optimizing life plan moving forward. So in the first phase, our body, I explained this a few minutes ago, that we really want to keep those carbohydrates at a level to where it's not creating a massive glucose response and insulin response. Our plans are set up perfectly, so you don't have to count your calories, count your macros. It's all done for you. You just stick to the plan that your Optavia coach and perhaps your health professional have prescribed for you, and you let the plan do the job. So when we talk about activity, this is a real current reality gut check for people. When I started the program 10.5 years ago, I would have said that I am a high level, intense athlete. But compared to what I am now, I probably would have said that I was low moderate. So it's important to have these discussions and discuss with your Optavia coach the kinds of activities that you're engaged in. Are you currently tracking your heart rate? Are you actually tracking the time and intensity levels of your workouts? I personally prefer to go a little bit when you're planning for what plan you're going to do. I like to start by going a little bit low. I always think of myself not exerting myself as much as possible. However, if I'm going to change my nutrition, I'm actually going to go the other way. So I'm going to say, hey, I need to dial it back a little bit, allow my body to acclimate, and then I will gradually intensify as my nutrition plan allows, and depending on how I'm feeling. Dave or John, have you experienced, what have you guys experienced personally as you were able to, I know both of you have done the 5-in-1 plan. Give me a little bit of your experience on starting the 5-in-1 plan and then being able to assess your activity levels.
I'll jump in first on this one. I know when I started the program, I just said, hey, you know what can I do that's going to make sense? And for me, I started parking out as far out in the parking lot as I could, and I'd walk into the building. And if there was a chance to take an elevator, I would always take the stairs. And I would go, it's like go on a walk around the neighborhood with my wife and just talk about life and enjoy that time with her. And so that, for me, that's where it started. Because like I said, I had thrown up my hands and I was like, I'm not working out. I'm not doing anything. None of it works. I was super frustrated by the time we got started. But then as time went on, I realized, I do like working out, and that is important for me. And I really always would test my body based on just how I felt. So if I felt like I went to the gym and I started to get to that level where my body started to feel stressed, I was like, it's time. It's time for me to be done. I didn't care what rep I was on or what set I was on or where I was at. I said, hey, you know what? I'm done for right now. And I would just walk away from the gym at that point. So that was kind of what I did when I first started.
Terrific. Anything different, Dave?
So for me, I was exercising 2 to 3 times a year. So I actually had to do the opposite and start working some activity into it. But that was actually one of the things about the program that was so appealing to me, was I didn't have to work out a ton. So kind of the exact opposite for me. Now I'm, working it in, but it's amazing what you can do with the program and once you start feeling good. So
that's awesome. That's why I love this guy. No holds bar right there. Just total honesty. 2 or 3 times a year. He's like, man, you don't get this kind of bod from from doing this thing every day. So I actually love that though, because sometimes we think that we're going to speed up the process. We're going to lose weight faster if we do it. But by adding that stress to your body, it can actually slow things down or just stagnate your weight loss sometimes. But if we just kind of pull back a little bit and always stay active, like parking further away, using the stairs, those things aren't major exertions for most people. So just by staying a little bit more active, we're able to just get into a really good flow and create that predictable transformation. So here's a few things as in our last few minutes together that are really, really critical pieces. And this is found in the last couple pages of element 12. And let's just go through a few of these. Making sure that you're eating every 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours. Going longer than 3 hours, I'll tell you what, when I first started the program 10.5 years ago, if I went more than 3 hours, everybody around knew it. I was getting irritable. In fact, my wife told me when she came to me in my office one day and she's like, hey, I'm taking the kids to the local rock show. And I'm like, fine, I'll go get my shoes on, let's go and stuff. And she's like, no, I'm just letting you know where we're going. I wasn't inviting you, right? So that was actually in my first week when I was still exercising too hard. But if you go longer than 3 hours, that blood sugar can get down. And we've all seen those commercials about hanger and stuff. It doesn't turn out well. So just one of the things that's really important, Dr. Anderson talks about in the LifeBook, is creating cues. For some people, when I first started, eating every 2 to 3 hours was not my regular routine. So I set reminders in my phone every 3 hours. Sometimes I would remember before. I'd be like, oh man, I'm starting to get a little bit hungry. It's time to eat. Sometimes it would go all the way to 3 hours because maybe I was busy at work or other things. And I would start, and so that would just remind me, and I'd go and grab a bar or a shake or whatever interchangeable fueling fit into my, that time right then. Getting extra rest. That was a big one. And that's long-term habit of health. Just making sure what a blessing the 5-in-1 was for me, because I actually started to rest and sleep better. So just be focused on that, because our bodies do so much regeneration while we're sleeping, while we're resting. Drinking 8 ounces, 8-ounce glasses of water 8 times a day, getting that 64 ounces in. And I know that a lot of people will go higher than that. A lot of research suggests that if you're living at elevation, extreme conditions, elevation, hot or cold, that it's important to add a little bit more water to combat some of those extreme situations. Here in Utah, we have all of them. Hot during the summer, higher elevation, freezing cold right now. So I always try to get in an extra glass or 2 of water, and that helps me feeling really good. John and Dave, is there anything that you see on that list that really stood out for you that helped you in the process during your weight loss and even continued as you're still optimizing your health?
One I'll jump on really quickly is the caffeine, to limit that. Before I did the program, I was used to using a lot of caffeine throughout the day to just get me through the day. And I remember day 3 vividly, because I drank the same amount of caffeine I was used to drinking, and I couldn't sleep that night. I was literally laying awake in bed in the middle of the night, eyes wide open, going, holy cow, I cannot get back to sleep. So I can't get to sleep at that point. So I would say, don't feel like you can't have any caffeine, but definitely watch what you're drinking, watch how much you have. And it says on here, limit caffeine to no more than 3 servings a day. And you're welcome in advance for that if you haven't already experienced that.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Dave?
So for me, it was the eating every 3 hours. It was something I was not used to. I've been in the construction industry for 25 years, and eat crap at a gas station, eat a big lunch. I would go hours and hours. I mean, there's nothing I haven't eaten at a gas station. So getting used to the every 3 hours for me was tough, but I still it gets busy, so I still have reminders on my phone. I have alarms that go off, and but it's great because your body will tell you. You start to feel it. But the every 3 hours for me it took some getting used to.
One more I want to jump on too is the community. That's huge. The sooner you get just into the mix of the community, the better off it'll be for you, because I'm just watching the questions coming through the chat and through the Q&A and things. And it's like, that's what our community is about, is being able to have a place to reach out, get answers to questions. Sometimes it's a simple answer. We just don't know where to find it. And by reaching into our community, we're like, oh man, that's exactly what I was looking for. And it's just amazing as we all come together to help each other out and really just to create optimal health together. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, John, because community has been a huge part for me for the last 10 years. I recently heard one of my mentors say that we are as sick as our secrecy. I lived a life of sickness, of disease, physically, mentally, financially, everything. I was sick in every area of my life. When I first took Dr. Anderson's health assessment, it's 3 different areas, 80 points in each section. I scored a 52 out of 160. Now I'm in the mid 140s. And a great deal of that has to do with community, has to do with other people who are pulling for me. And the one last thing that I would like to say is a big part of community is the one you see there, 4th from the bottom. If you slip up, just get right back on track. I know a lot of you have probably gotten a flat tire in your life. You get out, you assess the damage to the tire, and you're like, hey, is this something like I can make it to the next exit and I'm just going to kind of roll along the side? Do I need to put on my spare tire? But how many of you have ever had the thought go through your head like, hey, you know what? I think I've got a blade in my glove box. I'm going to just go pop the other 3 tires. No one thinks like that, right? But we do that with our nutritional program sometimes. We're like, oh, I screwed up. So I'm just going to go off completely haywire for the next day or 2 days or until Monday or whatever it is. But if you have a slip up, it's just one choice, one time. 2 to 3 hours later, you just eat that next fueling. You just get right back on track. We're all human beings. We all mess up sometimes. It's not really a mess up. It's only failure if we choose to quit, if we choose to quit on ourselves. So in those times, reach up to your Optavia coach. Reach out to the people in your community who are on this journey with you, because that's our purpose. Our purpose is lifelong transformation, one healthy habit at a time. And a lot of times, that one healthy habit that we're working on just comes through one healthy conversation at a time. So reach out and have those conversations, support each other, cheer each other on for the wins that we're having, cheer each other on for the losses that we have, that we learn something from, and that we're better tomorrow because of those things that we learned. So we appreciate you guys being on with us tonight, and go out there and bring somebody else with you. We need more people in our community. Share this gift of health with the people in your life that you love, and even those that you don't love, because their lives need to be better too. So God bless. Have a great week, and We'll see you next week with Element 13.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some independent Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. In addition, this audio may have contained income or earnings representations of some independent Optavia coaches. Optavia makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with Optavia results from successful sales efforts, which requires hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the Optavia income disclosure statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches under the U.S. compensation plan, which differs from the international compensation plan. Yours in health, the Optavia team.